Good morning. So I have the pleasure to speak to you this morning on what is spirituality, as if I could add more than to what Damien read so beautifully from Ernest Holmes, because this concept of spirituality, it comes up for us so often, especially when we're starting a class with new people showing up, and we often invite them to share, what is your spiritual journey? What is your path? What has been your way, and what brought you here? And so it gets very mixed up and also aligned with what was their religion when they were being brought up. And that religious upbringing is so valuable. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us to really look back on our roots of our beginnings with what we were taught, because there's pebbles of truth there. Our experience with it might have tainted our hearts in one way or another, perhaps, or perhaps not, but to really look at what that was in the very beginnings, because that was the beginning of your awakening as you started to put things together. So religion is an important part of spirituality, but spirituality is more than that. And often people will share, my spirituality is in the forest. It's at the ocean. It's in the waves. It's at the river. It's at the still pond. It's with my puppy. Most of the time with me, it's with my kitties. Oftentimes, I'm somewhere else with those kitties, as they've been finding their way through my home and finding everything. Every time I try to concentrate, they find something to bat around and destroy. All God, and all a way for me to tap into a sincerity of patience and peace within me. And I was preparing for this talk, I ran across a cute cartoon with a Zen master speaking to a student. And he went up to a student and he said, "You're so thoughtless. Good work." Thank you, Master. And I just thought, that's what, and I'm sharing the wisdom of Quimby, Phineas Quimby, from the 1800s with his power of healing. And Marilyn shares that class with me, and she's one of the participants. And there's quite a few people in there, and we're just understanding our beliefs and the power of our beliefs and how they have clustered around our perception of something that is so pure, and that is the essence of what this divine is. What is this? So what is this spirituality? It's this being, this presence that is spoken to, this pure state of consciousness. It's that space when we do our spiritual practice, we're invited into that spiritual well-being, that space where we are alert, but we're not thinking. We're not thinking the thoughts. We too become the thoughtless one. That's our attempt. This is the space, this is that essence that we're pointing to. It is this, when we start to name it, it's become God, it's become spirit, it's become the mystery, it's Allah. It is all of the words that we try to put a name on something so beloved, so rich, so true, so powerful that we're just humbled in its presence. And so it's this atmosphere of good, it's this atmosphere of God that we are discovering, and the spiritual knowing that this self, this deep sense, dwells within us when we allow ourselves to be absolutely connected and let nothing interfere with that. No old belief, no impression, no scolding, no inference from anyone else, but just a deep knowing that I am that, and there I dwell. And it's in that state that the spirituality is continuing to invite us inward, until we're embodying that and we become that out into our world. So Traditionally, spirituality, it has been spoken, refers to a religious process of reformation. And this is a quote, aims to recover the original shape of man. And I can really see that in Quimby's work. It's oriented to, spirituality is oriented to the image of God. And it's exemplified by the founders of the sacred texts of all the religions in the world. B.D. Griffith says, he holds up his hand and he said, all of your fingers represent the world religions. But you see, they all draw from the one source. They all extend and move out from the one source. And this is all an extension of the heart space, this arm, this hand, these fingers of truth. And then we can use the fingers in different ways to point our way. And I just love that idea of, there is the idea of religion itself to help us, to give us some structure, to give us some guidance, some doctrines, some ways to live nobly and to be kind. And in every faith path, in every one, there is a form, one way or another, of the Ten Commandments. One way or another, those are spoken in their purity and their truth. And so we look at the different texts in the world of different religious paths, and we see a common ground. One of my references from this sharing with you today is from Sri Srim Noy, and he's a yogi teacher, but I love his pristine wisdom. And he says this, he starts it with this beautiful, he loves to write poetry. He says, religion says, if you accept me in my way, then you are good. Spirituality says, you do not have to follow my way. Follow your own way soulfully and reach your destined goal. Spirituality is not merely tolerance. It is not even acceptance. It is a feeling of universal oneness. In our spiritual life, we look upon the divine not only in terms of our own God, but in terms of everyone else's God. I love that remembrance. Let us know our spiritual journey is one that embraces all faith paths. So it is looking in terms of not only our own, but everyone else's God. Our spiritual life firmly and securely establishes the basis of unity in diversity. Spirituality is not hospitality to another's faith in God. It is the absolute recognition of the other's faith in God as one's own. That statement is powerful. I want to read it again because it is the absolute recognition of the other's faith in God as one's own. Now that untethers your heart when you really breathe that in and you recognize this beautiful diversity, this planet of everyone born in this pure innocence, born into love and to awe as the moment the baby arrives and makes its first call out into the world and takes that first inspiration of its soul. The purity of that moment. And then the seeking of a lifetime of its good, of its God, of its knowing, of its journey. He goes on to say, this is one of his poems again, Sri Srim Noy. When I speak to you about God, you don't believe me. When you speak to me about God, I don't believe you. Therefore, what is the use? What is the use of our talking to each other about God? The best thing will be for us to pray for God, to speak, for he is the only one who can talk about himself with inner illumination and outer compassion. That's when I point you back to your spiritual path, to your spiritual work, to your journey, to your meditations, to your contemplations, to your silence, to allow yourself that invitation, that privilege to sit on your own holy ground and to invite what speaks to you as your direct path to the unifying knowing of what is your God, what is your truth. So the spirituality, as I speak to it, is describing a state that we embody as we we continue our practice, it becomes such a part of us. We live, we inspire, we breathe this soul knowing, these qualities of spirit. And we recognize that religion is, in its way, has been set in dogma with rules and traditions that often are really laid down to help guide us. And sometimes they're so stern and so strict that they wound us. But we are the ones that need to discern that in the quietness of our practice of that. So the qualities of God, the pure qualities of God and spirit, peace, joy, love, these are yours. They dwell within each of you and everyone. Peace, love, joy, beauty, love, light, life. They call us home. When we witness beauty, when we witness joy, when we witness life, our heart walls open. All barriers and all sense of separation disappear because we're in that pure state. And all of our suffering is asking for the delusion of what is in the way, what the effect is in the way of this truth. Let it get behind you, let it drop away, let it be done with, so that these pure qualities of God can be made manifest through you as you. They exist, these qualities exist in spirituality and religion, of course they do. But spirituality is the invitation to seek a connection with that which dwells within you, to invoke such a state of being. And a lot of people work their whole life the call to live spiritually. And yet when they try to live their religion, sometimes, not always, but they're living their spirituality, but also a little bit of a struggle trying to stay within the confines of certain practices, certain dogma. I was surprised one time when we were talking about spiritual practices, and they'd been doing the same one for years and years and years. And they were really, to be honest, bored with it. And then they didn't realize they could pick something new. They thought they had to keep doing that because they invested so much heart and time. And then a whole vast world opened up to them of spiritual wonderment, opportunity. So that's for all of us to recognize where this quality of divine dwells. And Abraham Maslow says the great lesson from the true mystics is that the sacred is in the ordinary, that is found in one's daily life, in one's neighbor, friends, and family. There's this little spiritual practice that the practitioner students needed to really take on in their training, and that was to take an ordinary, everyday, habitual thing that they were doing and spiritualize it. And I remember one of them sharing, for some reason she didn't like the whole ritual of having to take a shower and wash her hair and get her hair wet, and she was going on, and I was listening to her, and I'm thinking, wow, what a one to pick. And then the next time I got in the shower, I thought, oh, what a bother this is. I have to wash my hair. And I thought, oh, no, I got it. Because all of a sudden I'm thinking, I don't want to own that. But she had turned hers around, and I just thought it was so amusing. When we listen to another's, it could be so innocent like that, just sharing something that they have. And all of a sudden we recognize, oh, maybe I'm not so happy with doing this either. And that's sometimes why I sleep in late. I don't want to get up and start all that. But then once I'm there in that shower and that water is washing down and I get to sing out different strange chakra sounds and just have fun in the shower because nobody's listening, it's like, what a wonderful spiritual temple a shower becomes. So it's just, look at what Maslow is saying. That's the great lesson. The sacred is in the ordinary. The sacred is in the ordinary. And when we realign our sense of self, we think that sometimes we're just small and limited. But then we witness that state of awe. We taste those moments of pure rapture. And they can be so quick. They can just flash through our heart. But we're awake and we're touched by some glory, some truth, some state of being, something greater, something powerful that wasn't there just that moment ago. then we're touched and we're awake. And that's what being in community, that's what the invitation, that's why we speak. You know, Reverend Mary and I talk about this so much. People, you know, what can we do more to bring people into this heart space? What can we do more? And it's all about community. It's all about you, all of you being here, listening and creating the essence of what is. You are that love. You are that welcoming, that when people, a stranger walks through our doors, they feel like they've been transformed. Something new is awakening in them. That's community. That's what we lean into, one another, in those times where we struggle and we doubt. You say to yourself, I am in doubt, I am in trouble, I feel depressed. Where's my community to lean into? Where can I serve? Where can I allow this to be an outlet of this good that dwells within me as me? So it's a testifying to that divine light that dwells within, impressing itself always, always upon us, through us. It's impressing itself, this divine love, this quality, this nameless source of vitality and truth. And we're going to do a practice in a few moments, because I respect this gathering of the 9 o'clock people. You are sincere seekers. You are the quiet ones. You are the ones that don't busy yourself with a lot of the other things around you. You just say, this is this morning where I'm going to go and dwell with my spirit, my knowing, my truth. I'm going to go into a place where I can sit still and be silent and know a greater understanding. So you're testifying to this divine light. The spirituality reminds us, and you can feel it in yourself right now, you're more than that smallness. Remember, you were inspired that moment. You took your first breath, that first inspiration. What is that? And what is that is therefore from that moment forward, that which dwells within you that you're forever seeking again? It is filled with light and essence and truth and love. That's what you inspired. That is the prana. That is the life force. That is the truth of all that is. That is the substance of what is. That's what we're here seeking. That's what everything points to. That's what spiritual practice holds you in. Meditation, contemplation, quietness, stillness, letting this God, whatever you want to name it, therefore speak and be known through you. What a moment to be touched by this joy, this wisdom, this peacefulness, and then to be in service to that. That's the key point too, because we all love love. We love when we're in love. We love and respect, and then we start to give a name to that which we love. Remember, it could be spirit, truth. Now watch it when somebody names it something different than you are. Don't close down. Just be so overjoyed that they too have that which they respect and love. And they're clearing their way. So this moment of connection, we feel it, where our hearts expand and we're ready. We're ready in that moment. That's why the early hours of the morning, those sweet moments around 4 o'clock in the morning, there's a certain essence. The earth is with you there. There's an atmosphere. There's a quietness. And there's a few people I know that are disciplined to awake at that time and to take their journals and start their writing, to be with their beloved at that sacred time. Many scriptures, many faith paths say, watch for those sacred windows of time and be with your beloved and expand your heart into this place of love. So before I go into our little practice together, my invitation for you is to recognize that religion is a pathway into spirituality. It's a roadmap that has organized concepts that have helped guide many, many people on the journey. And often those original teachings of that religion were sparked. They were set on fire by a moment of one person witnessing the divine. And as a way of life emerges from the religion and the teachings, these doctrines, these mission statements, these intentions, they're trying to do is lay down a way. But the only one that can walk that path is you. Only you. And you're in no judgment when you take that first step. You take your first step. The intention was to point the way, to cast the light and say, follow this. See if it helps you. And when you're on that path, all of a sudden you meet a Sufi. And then the Sufi says, follow this one. Follow the poetry of Rumi. Oh, it'll awaken you. And so you follow that. And then you follow, and it all leads you back. All the paths will take you back to the one source. So the Hamin Sunam, who wrote a Zen book, we have it in our bookstore, a real sweet book, but he says, don't force yourself on a spiritual path. Let its teachings gently open your heart and lead you, like salt, gradually dissolving in water. Let the teaching dissolve in your heart. In your heart. What is the message for you today in your heart? My words are words of wisdom from many, many teachers. And I recognize that spirituality is beyond all religion, but it's within all religion. It's beyond all science, but within science. It's beyond philosophy, but it contains all philosophy. So, what is the face of your God? Thomas Merton says, here is an unspeakable secret. Paradise is all around us and we do not understand. We express this divinity, though, through our everyday lives. And Brother Lawrence says, the holiest, most ordinary, and most necessary practice in the spiritual life is that of the presence of God. It is to take delight in and become accustomed to his divine company, speaking humbly and conversing with him all the time at every moment. So this practice that I'm going to take you in, I want you to really ground yourself, to feel like today I'm going to practice closing my eyes, grounding my feet. I put my feet firmly into the earth. I relax my shoulders and I'm willing to close my eyes and let my palms that are an extension of my heart, that hold the spirituality and the oneness, to be opened upon the lap of my body. I am one. And I let down the walls of tension. We're going inward. We're going on a direct path. We're choosing to breathe in the power and the love and the strength of the divine. Feel that. I'm going to have Joey Carroll in just a moment read to you a contemplation. Take in what you hear in this meditation from Ernest Holmes, and then I'll continue in the practice. So you are grounded now. You are sincere. And hear these holy words of Ernest Holmes as spoken by Joey Carroll.
Subtle essence of spirit within me, flowing through me. Elixir of life in my veins, purifying me with thy marvelous life. I let thy spirit cleanse me from all false thought and idea. I let thy life flow through me in a complete and perfect whole. I feel the presence of spirit within me.
Staying in that space, you breathe. You inspire and breathe the oneness, your whole being right now, entering the realm of love and trust. You're breathing slowly, deeply, fully, deliberately. And as you breathe in, you know absolutely that you're breathing into every part of your body, your heart, your soul, your mind. You are that one. Recognizing within you the power, the love, the bliss, the passion, the peace, the strength of the divine in you. Visualize now the divine in you. See the breath itself as the language of the one, as the wind of this sweet flame penetrating and absorbing your true heart. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out with a conscious awareness. Oh dear, let's let go of all sadness, all tension, all doubt, all distress, all uncertainty. Can you let go and breathe that out? Oh, just feel it releasing from you, the letting go, that divine moment. And when the breath sweeps in again, it floods you with the qualities of the divine calling you home into sweetness, into love, into the divinity, into the truth. So tender. It makes its way through all the blocks of old beliefs, old patterns, all those doubts as you now take the out breath and doubt leaves you. What do you want, dear one, as the beloved speaks to you in this moment? I am holding you. Your feet are upon my body. Your heart is beating with mine. You are breathing the breath of the divine. You're breathing in God. You're breathing out anything that causes you suffering. Let it go. And feel the richness of God in you, as you. As Joey again closes this meditation, reminding you of this beautiful scripture from the heart of Ernest Holmes into your heart. Joey.
Subtle essence of spirit within me, flowing through me, elixir of life in my veins, purifying me with thy marvelous life. I let thy spirit cleanse me from all false thought and idea. I let thy life flow through me in a complete and perfect whole. I feel the presence of spirit within me.
So we take another breath and we become aware, I entered that temple as we close with a prayer of heart together in a knowing that the divine has carried us through all that is. And the quickening of each of our minds is a connection and now a conduit of that absolute truth. The divine flows through each and every one of us and speaks its word as only we can hear. So our eyes and our hearts and our minds and our bodies are alert and awake to the divine messages in the ordinary world around us. We walk now in awe. We walk now with the footprints of the divine within us as witness to this greater knowing that we are evolving and moving on our journey, that this love is the essence of who we are. And we take this love and we offer it in service to the world. It is what we know to do. So I give thanks for this message of truth, for recognizing that the spirituality dwells within me as me, and I do my work in joy, in love, on purpose for the one. And I release this in gratitude, knowing that I walk in a fellowship of truth. I walk hand in hand, heart to heart, with so many longing to connect and wrap our arms around our planet and let it be healed in every level. So I give thanks and celebrate love itself as it moves through me. I release my word now, knowing that for each and every one of us, we are touched and anointed by the divine. And so be it, and so it is. Thank you.